Good morning, everybody. This is Ricky, and welcome to Hope for Today. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday to ya. Happy Thursday to ya. Come on, let's smile. God is on the throne. There's reason to smile today, regardless of what you're going through. I was reading an article that really struck me the other day. It's about the church in China, and they were going through the history of their persecution, right? Chinese Christians are under persecution. But things started to lighten up in the 90s because of deregulation of certain economies, things like NAFTA and other things that we were doing that basically allowed companies to do more business overseas, right? So things are opening up and persecution is somewhat lightening. But there were now 3 generations of Christians in China who had known nothing but persecution and fervent faith. They know nothing but persecution and fervent faith. And the church was growing like wildfire, still is in China. And part of the reason was because of the weight of persecution. They needed Jesus more when you're going through persecution. But the 90s, things started to lax up somewhat. And guess what the burden of those third generation Christians were, the elder statesmen of the faith? They were worried that their kids' faith was not going to be strong because they had no persecution. Guess what the biggest question for the Christian church in the 90s was? Should we pray for persecution? Like their literal question was, we're worried that our kids' faith is not going to be authentic and legitimate and like Jesus. Should we pray for persecution? Now, don't hear me telling you to pray for persecution. I know I'm not. My whole point is that bad times are not fruitless times. Bad times are not fruitless times. Paul is still talking from the context of prison, and in verse 11 he says, not that I am speaking of being in need, for I've learned in whatever situation I am to be content. I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. Verse 13 is the bell ringer. I can do all things through Christ, through him who strengthens me. Paul is giving us a wonderful virtue of the gospel, that the gospel does not say I need Jesus plus someone or something else. I just need Jesus. So whatever you're going through, you don't need Jesus plus a wonderful marriage. Be nice, but all you need is Jesus to know the contentment of the Lord. You don't need Jesus plus a country that has its mind. You just need Jesus. In other words, you can have Jesus with a country that's losing its mind and still have the contentment of the Lord. You don't need Jesus plus all of your money to make sense and to be everything you feel like you should have. No, you just need Jesus. Paul says, I have learned in a prison cell to be content. In other words, Jesus is so much for me and so much in me that I know how to be low and have a low season. I know how to have a high season. I'll close with this thought. I'll never forget going to Mozambique, Africa, and we're camped alongside the Zambezi River, and we were awoken every morning by the Mozambicans' prayers. So as soon as the sun comes up, they start praying, and we can hear them in the adjacent tent, and they would pray for literally an hour before they came outside of the tent. Now, these folks were poor. These folks had nothing, and here we are, these Americans who have brought all this stuff for them to be blessed, and we would just say, wow, we just can't believe you guys have such a rich prayer life with so little of nothing. And they taught us that that's why we have a rich prayer life. Because if you don't know you're going to eat today, you're going to pray harder. If you don't know whether or not your government is going to collapse today, you're going to pray harder. And because of that, we have a richer faith and we love Jesus more. And we just said, oh man, we just feel so sorry for you guys. I'll never forget this woman who looked at us and says, really? Well, we all feel sorry for you. And we just go, what do you mean you feel sorry for us? Like, we just brought you all this stuff. Like, yeah, we feel sorry for you guys because we're worried for you that because you don't have needs, that you'll forget who Jesus is and what Jesus means to you. Jesus has secured our faith by giving us little. It makes us love him more and it makes us depend on him more. That's why we feel sorry for you guys, because we hope you don't lose your faith. And I'm saying all that to say that as you continue to navigate what feels like persecuting times and tough times and troublesome times, they're not fruitless times. That in my lack, I learn that he has more. That in my trouble, I learn that he is peace. That in my fear, I learn that he is strength. And we get to say what Paul said, no matter what situation we are, we can be content. That's hope for today. I'll see you next time.